Good morning and welcome to Coach's Corner on 93.7 FM The Mix. I am Nathan Lambert alongside Riley Price and the head varsity football coach for Wawasee High School, Coach Jon Reutebuch. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, Coach, I got to tell you, waking up this morning, I still have that energy from last night. Tough loss for the Warriors, 14-7, but taking the number 9 team in the state late and had your opportunities. What was the feeling like before the game on the field?
Well, coming off the Concord game, we decided last week, because you got to go all the way back to last week, and when we, met with the team and did our bumps and bruises, and we're going to watch film and all those things. We decided to take the approach, that's not us. That's not what we've been like all season, and we decided to flush it. It was one of those anomalies, a perfect storm, if you will, of, injuries and all kinds of things going on, and we decided to flush it and say, we're not even going to we'll look at film on that because, it's not going to benefit what we're doing, and all our focus is going to go on Northridge. And so we actually watched film on Northridge last Saturday, which is not normal for us in our routine. And we talked about, where we want to be and where our focus is and where our effort is and getting back to the basics and, what our goals were and those kind of things. And so this week in practice, the energy level was really good. The guys were flying around. The guys were competing against each other, getting chippy at times with each other, which is great in practice.
And kind of having that edge,
yes,
right?
Yes, and when they get chippy with each other, that means both sides are wanting something. They're competing. They're passionate about what they're doing.
They're not just getting pushed over.
Right.
They're wanting to compete.
Exactly. And so the scout team was taking pride in what they were doing, and that brought up the starters. It's not just getting rolled on. And so that was a good indication during the week. And then it was kind of a build-up to the game. The kids were kind of quiet at first, and then it just kind of build up. And I could tell before the game in the locker room, there was an energy going that I have not seen in a long time.
Riley and I were talking about on the field. I mean, from literally, I would say about 10 minutes before the game when you guys came back out onto the field, there was almost like this confidence of, hey, that last week's team, that's not us.
Yeah.
We're going to come out here and we're going to play hard-nosed football.
Yeah. The kids were fired up. I heard kids saying things, leadership type things that, we've been saying all year. But, when the coaches got to say it, that's good. When the players start saying it, that's great. That's when you have true leadership.
It kind of proves the point of it. It kind of sinks in. It's when you have – a tiered leadership, and the second tier is now echoing that, and it's, your common peer. It kind of helps the team kind of buy into that message.
Absolutely. And the energy level, high energy, picking each other up, talking about family, and, we played as a team. And that's the difference. We played as a team, not a bunch of individuals together on a team. We played as a team. And be honest with you, what we got out of last night's game was that we set the bar for a new level of play. This is how we play. This is where we're at. And this is the bar of where our competition needs to be. Because if we played with that energy against Tippy Valley, against West Noble, against all the teams we played up to this point, heck, we might be 5-1. There's no doubt in my mind.
And we've talked about that really in all those games, it was a play here and a play there that kind of tipped it the other way. So, I mean, you very well could have a completely different record at this point.
Absolutely. And that goes back to my 5 plays in a close game make the difference which way it goes. I mean, Tippy Valley and West Noble, I don't know that, a lot of people were very, very disappointed we didn't win those games. Nobody more than us and the kids. But you look at their body of work, they're both 6-0. They both destroyed everybody they played. The tightest game they played was us, and we should have won.
That's incredible.
So that shows you the level of play that we can play on, and we've been sending that message, and I think somewhere, somehow, it's finally sunk in. And last night was a display of that, where we went toe-to-toe with a very solid Northridge team. And
very deep team, too.
Absolutely. Plenty of guys, just solid all around. A team that beat Northwood, and a team that really, has pretty much had no problem putting points up on anybody. The only team is Mishawaka, who now is leading the conference and pretty much destroyed Warsaw last night. So
slacked them last night. 34-11, I believe, was the final there.
Yeah, I think you're right. But they've been rolling through pretty much everybody, and I think they were probably as shocked as anybody that, who is this team? This is not the 52-0 team that played Concord, and I think our kids just kept failing the energy and keeping the energy up, and it turned out what you saw last night with many opportunities to win the game, and unfortunately we're not there yet. There's a lot of plays that need to be cleaned up. There's penalties, there's turnovers, but I think we're physical. I think we're very physical, and we got back to that. And the other thing is the energy level was so good that we didn't back down, we didn't stop, we fought to the very end, and that's Warrior grit, and that's what we're all about.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up. Let's go to the first quarter there. You kick the ball off, and you have a big defensive possession. Talk about that first defensive possession and how that kind of catapulted your team for the rest of the game.
That sets the tone right there. We kick off, and we get a great kickoff from Dane Sigler, who is our soccer/football player, and kicks a nice deep one inside the 5, and we get the coverage down there, and we end up tackling him on the 20. That's as good as a touchback. That's great. And then, we hit the quarterback on the first play. The ball goes flying in the air. They caught it, but it was only like for a 2-yard gain.
And I got to say, that was kind of an interesting play because that ball was definitely not going towards the running back. And when that ball went straight up,
it
I was
like,
what
helicopter fluttering. Yeah.
What are the odds that it falls directly in the spot where the running back can grab it?
Right. And then, run for no gain and an incomplete pass, and they're punting to us, and we get the ball in the 49. We don't do much with it. We're 3 and out too, but on the punt, they slam into our punter. Thank you.
We'll take that free first down.
Absolutely, and we made the most of it. And we had a short run, a pass, big pass play to Donovan Blair, where Luke Keim just hung in there and saw him come open and hit him.
And threw a beautiful out ball. I mean, it really was. It was on a line.
It was a
right
nice drop in the bucket. Mm-hmm. It was a great throw by him. And then ran about 5 yards to the 1, and then Donovan's our heavy package where he comes in and slams it in for a opening TD.
And a pretty good bruiser there, too. He's not a small gentleman on the football field.
No, and he did not want to be denied. And then, kick a solid PAT, which has been an adventure all season long, and just kick that thing through, and the kids were jacked up, at that point. And so we kick off to them, and still another good kick, and they get a little bit of yardage, but it's at the 32, which is good. And then Northridge goes to work, and they move the ball a little bit. I believe it was a 7-play drive, and they're punting back to us again. And so defense is playing solid. We get the ball, and we move the ball about 7 plays, and then we're punting. So we're in that mode right there. And then Northridge takes the ball and, really doesn't get a whole lot done. And, we're able to force a punt. We get a nice little return, got pretty good field position. And so we're able to take the ball and, move it down 7 plays. We're on the 15-yard line, and we, our quarterback's getting tackled, and he throws an out pattern and gets picked off. We're on the 15-yard line. That would have been huge if we could have punched it in there with some kind of score, a field goal or a touchdown.
It just kind of amps the pressure up on the other side of the field of, oh, no, the urgency is now.
Absolutely. Pressure really starts to mount on them. And so they were able to take that interception and march it a little bit. But, again, defense bows their neck, and they stop them. And, we get the ball back, and we are moving the ball again, and we have a complete pass on a little bubble, and we fumble. And so, we have 2 back-to-back turnovers, and that's exactly what we got to avoid, and gives them life and gives them a chance to get back on us. And both of them were 2 promising drives. So when we come out with scores, it's really, really going to put the pressure on them. This time they take the ball and they march it down the field and end up scoring on a 30-yard TD run where we had him wrapped up, but we were grabbing at the football, and we didn't quite swarm like we had been all evening, and they end up scoring and kicking the PAT, and it's all tied up. They kick off to us, touchback, and again, we struggled.
And that was kind of the story of the night, too. I think Tinky only ended up having one kick return all night.
One kick return.
And, I mean, if you got a threat like that for Northridge, you got to use it, right?
Absolutely. And there's teams that have that, and it's a weapon, I think the next two teams, maybe even three teams, all have a guy that can do that. And that's it. That's a huge weapon to start a team on the 20 every time. So we go 3 and out, punt away, and they have good field position, and again, the defense rises up and stops them. We get the ball back, but not very good field position, and so we decide to run out the clock and go into halftime 7-all.
Luke Heim, coming to this sophomore, I believe his first varsity start.
Yes.
We talked about how confident and poised he looked in the backfield last week versus Concord, but let me tell you, it was a whole different ball game to him this week, making reads. It looked like he was able to slow some stuff down. He had a few beautiful passes. You mentioned the Donovan Blair pass earlier in the game. What do you do to help him prepare to be able to come to this start and just take it as well as he did?
Well, I think a big part of it's mindset. You go into a game on a Friday night and you're the JV quarterback, and even though you're told that you need to be mentally ready to go in at a moment's notice, you're never really totally ready.
That's always tough.
Yes, that is tough. And so the difference is we had a week to work with him. We had a week of him working with the number ones, a week with him throwing to the number ones, get his feet underneath him and understand closely what we're looking at and what we're trying to do. And in the first half, he played brilliantly for a first start for a sophomore. He played very, very well. Second half, he struggled a little bit. He looked a little more like a sophomore, but that's to be expected. I mean,
he's got a bright future.
Oh,
he really does.
Absolutely. And as much as it hurt not to have Shoemaker in there, this helps him and his development to get a look in a very competitive game and a chance to compete. And, you got to go through it before you win it. And so he had a great experience last night, and he did a lot of great things, and he's only going to get better from here.
Now, Coach, you mentioned something about the defense, about there was kind of that hard-nosed football and kind of that bend don't break. I think that was the story of the night last night. Time and time again, the defense, a turnover here or you said back-to-back turnovers, and it's easy for defenders to offense isn't moving the ball. I don't need to have that level of aggression, and there was no drop off all night long. This defense flew around the ball.
No, our defense came to play last night. I think the stats are this: 112 total yards by Northridge, 11 yards passing, 101 yards rushing. They were 3 for 13 on third down. Our linebacker play was solid, probably the best linebacker play we've had all season. The defensive line was creating havoc and helping the linebackers not have anybody on them. And the secondary did a great job, especially on a lot of long balls. That quarterback has a great arm, and they delivered. So
and Lucas Linder had a great night. I mean, he was right on the hip of all those wide receivers.
Yeah, it seemed like they were targeting him, and I don't know why, because he's our best cover guy, and he usually draws the best receiver, and maybe that's it. They were trying to get it to their best receiver, but he did a great job last night. And like I said, we set a new bar for our level of play, and we need to have energy like that every time.
Well, that was our discussion about the first half. When we get back, we will continue to discuss last night's contest. This is the Coach's Corner Football Show on 93.7 FM The Mix. Welcome back to the Coach's Corner Football Show with Coach Jon Reutebuch on 93.7 FM The Mix. Now, in our first segment, Coach, we went through and talked about the first half of the Northridge game. Obviously a little bit of an extended halftime with homecoming, and you don't get Donovan Blair, which had an amazing first half as he's part of the homecoming court. How does that kind of change the communication with your team?
Well, we knew at halftime we're going to have to make an adjustment, not having Donovan there, and he's on special teams, defense, offense, and he's a big part of what we do. And so, that's part of halftime. If you have injuries, or in this case, Donovan being removed from the game, we knew we had some adjustments to make there. Our biggest key was keeping the energy level up, and the kids did a great job of doing that. We knew coming out in the second half that Northridge was their coaches were going to be getting after their kids because they expected to be probably blowing us out by this point in time.
And I actually was told on the sideline a couple times by some kids, their expectation was that they wanted a running clock by the end of the game, and Wawasee just flat out didn't let them get anywhere.
No. And so, there's a few minor adjustments here and there of how we wanted to approach, defensively and offensively, but it really was about the energy level and keeping the kids up and hungry, and they took care of that. I mean, they were, they were ready to go. I mean, our kids came sprinting out of the locker room and talking amongst themselves, and like I said, that chatter that I hear amongst players really tells you where your team's at, and talking about family and talking about, playing hard, and we want this, we want it more than they do, that kind of thing. And so that attitude is what you need to compete in the NLC on a Friday night, and that's what we saw last night.
So start of the second half, it's 7-7. Walk us through those first couple possessions.
Well, the second half couldn't start any worse for us. We had high energy level, but that carries us through the second half. But we started off offensively about as bad as we could. They kicked in the end zone, got a touchback, and then the first snap, I don't know if he took his eye off of it or what. Bounces off his helmet, and he recovers it and tries to get what he can. But it's a 2-yard loss. Then we try to run the ball, and it's another 2-yard loss. And then we try to throw the ball. It's an incomplete pass, and now we're punting. And I don't know if it's lost on everybody, but we did not have our punter for the game. And Hunter Tinky had to fill in.
And he did a great job filling in. I mean, there was a couple that were short, but, I mean, for a kid stepping in and putting the ball away, that was pretty good.
I had basically 3 days to teach him how to punt. So he hadn't punted since
Here's your real quick crash course. Good luck.
We did a little tryout earlier in the week, and he did the best. And, thank goodness for him. He's like a Swiss Army knife, wherever we need somebody to plug in, we can plug him in.
He just steps up to the plate every time.
He's a competitor. He's a gamer. And so, plugged him in. And so, like I said, we're lining up to punt, backed up, and the first punt, it's not a great punt. They're going to have the ball in great field position, but it's what happened during the play that really had the biggest effect, because that's when Donovan Blair got booted out of the game. So Donovan was out at homecoming. He was the homecoming king, and so he wasn't in there at halftime because of the duties of that. So we have to plan around that at halftime and make sure we get to them. And then in the very first series, the very first punt, there's an incident that happens that they end up throwing 2 kids out of the game, and Donovan was one of them. And so in an unusual situation where your homecoming king's kicked out of the game, and Donovan, great kid, does a lot for us, and I feel horrible for him. That had to be excruciating watching the rest of the game,
especially after the first half he had. I mean, touchdown, long catches. He's making tackles. He's really
big
kind of
sacks,
having probably the best game he's had all year.
Well, he's a senior leader, and he's a voice, and he leads by example, and he's a big part of our team. And so to have that taken away so early in the second half, and what that does is it makes the rest of the kids have to rally. They have to rally around.
Next man up, right?
It has to be in order to compete. And I think we did that. The next punt was even worse. They got the ball on the 23-yard line, a very, very short field. And they made good use of it, and they scored their second touchdown of the evening. It's 14-7, and brought the kids around. Hey, that's over with. That we went through that storm, that chaos. Now let's settle down and win this ball game.
And you got to be telling them we're one score away.
Yep.
We've been moving the ball. We've had some self-inflicted wounds, but at the end of the day, I mean, the Warriors have put together, 25, 26 minutes of gameplay at this time, and have kind of taken control of the game. I mean, they had the momentum up until that point.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the kids responded greatly. I mean, their energy did not dip. I would say in years past we might have started hanging our head, and the other team would start getting a chance to roll. That did not happen. We get the ball back after that, and we drive the ball mostly with the run game, and we drive it all the way down to the 29-yard line, and just can't get that 1 yard, and it's a turnover on downs.
Which from where we were standing, it definitely appeared that he was past that line when the line marker over here, which actually saw him go down, marked him past the first down. It was actually signaling first down, and then all of a sudden the ball was moved back and it was turnover on downs.
Yeah, that's a frustrating part of the game, and unfortunately it's part of the game, and so we gotta move on.
Can't let that affect you.
No,
though. You got to go play defense.
Not
now.
at all. But there's another opportunity. Driving. If we can answer a score with a score, that puts even more pressure. And so that was unfortunate. The defense didn't buckle at all. The defense was still bringing it. So we get the ball back. Again, we have good field position, and we drive it down inside the 40, and again, turnover on downs. We're not able to keep that drive alive. We're moving the ball. We're moving the ball through the air, through the run. We're moving the ball pretty well, but it's kind of that thing that's kind of plagued us a little bit. When we get the ball on the other team's end, and especially the red zone, but even in the 30 to 40 range, we got to get points out of that, and that may be field goal points, that may be touchdown points, but we got to finish off drives, and that's got to be a point of emphasis for us because we've left a lot of opportunities on the field so far this year. Once we turn that corner, look out. We're going to be a hard team to beat, and that's going to be to the benefit of our program. So. We had a couple more possessions that we couldn't get anything mounted. And then we were able to, through field position, punting, things like that, we were able to pin them at their own 14, punting the ball and be able to put some pressure and get the ball at the 30. That's phenomenal field position. And we, again, weren't able to do anything with it. And those are the opportunities we got to capitalize on. And we had guys injured, we had guys having to be replaced. As I mentioned, Donovan Blair, going out, for a special teams guy, he's our main caller on protection on punt. So I have to switch that around. And then Dallas Miller was going through some things with cramping and things like that. Had to replace him. And
Weston DeLong went down for a little bit.
Little ankle,
came
back. And so,
and what does it talk about their grit to kind of take one on the chin? And these kids are sometimes going against bigger players. Especially from last week to this week. And kind of getting nicked up and still saying, hey, no, I still I'm hurt, I'm not injured, and still going back and playing efficient ball.
Yeah, that goes back to the belief that we can win, and so they want to be a part of that, and they want to be there for their teammates. And absolutely, it's great to see guys working through that. That's why our bumps and bruises is important on Saturday. That's why we do ice baths on Monday and Wednesday, to help their bodies recover as fast as possible so they can be the best they can be out there. A lot of kids are banged up. This time of year, every team's banged up a little bit.
Yeah, you're into the second half of the season here, too.
Absolutely. And every game we play in, you see guys in just their jerseys on the sideline. So the teams that are best able to navigate that, and obviously team depth plays into that. And so we're not as equipped as Concord and Northridge and some of the bigger schools at just plugging in a new guy. But our kids have done a great job of rising up to the occasion and doing what's needed to be done, as we mentioned with Tinky, punting the football. And next week we're going to be in the same situation. We're going to have, we won't have Donovan, and, we're still working through some other things with kids, and so we're going to have to step up. But the encouraging thing is there's a new level of play that's been set, and I think the kids understood that. You never want to bank on a moral victory. It's still about winning the football game, and we had every opportunity to do that. We're just not executing to the point to put us over the top, but we're going to break through. And when we break through, look out. And so talked about, we wanted to win that game last night, but that just set a new bar. This is how we play, and our ultimate goal is sectional. And so each week provides us with an opportunity to get better, an opportunity to develop, and be that playing at our best football by the end of the season when it's tournament time. And so that's always been the goal. The kids responded greatly. They were upset we lost, but they also took it well and understood what the message was.
But that's kind of as a coach, that's kind of a good thing to see too, when players don't take it personal and don't kind of wear that loss on their sleeve. It kind of shows that they may not be engaged, and to hear players, this one hurts. That's exactly what you want as a coach, because that will propel them into the next contest.
Yeah, when you leave it all on your sleeve and you're out there giving it all. There's got to be an emotional feeling after a game. You gave it your all and just wasn't enough, and that's hard to deal with. But as coaches, we got to teach them how to deal with that, and that's adversity, and that reveals your character. And it's okay to be upset. It's okay to feel bad about that. That's what drives you to work hard in practice and try to get to that point where you don't feel that anymore, and you feel the euphoria of winning. And how good that feels. And, the thing I appreciated the most is how we worked as a team. You watch a game after, and as a coach, you're busy managing the game and doing the things you need to do, and you don't get a chance to really focus on what's going on. And then watching the game, I see a guy screw up, and his teammates are up there patting him on the back, patting him on the butt, hey, next play, get this one. And that's what we've been teaching all along. And so that's rewarding to see the kids start to display that. And we were a true team last night. And that's the reason why we played so well. We had the kids on the sideline were enthusiastic. And
one thing about Mason Shoemaker, can't play. And he was the one that I was looking down to on the sideline. Every time there was a big third down or a big play, he was right there trying to get the student section and the crowd riled up. That can only bring more energy to your team and kind of shows what kind of a leader Shoemaker is.
Yeah. I mean, he was chomping the bit trying to get on the field any way he could.
He told me that he wanted to come up and give us an interview, so at least he'd be at least a part of the game.
Yes. He was a big part of the game, and, I love the competitiveness, but, we knew in the long run it was better to keep him out and hopefully have him for the Warsaw game.
I think we can all agree that the defense was the MVP of last night's game. I mean, you mentioned earlier in the broadcast they had 11 passing yards. Look back at the stats, the fewest passing yards they've had in another game, 104 by Mishawaka. We can all agree Mishawaka is an incredible team. What do you go and tell the team today, Monday, to prepare for next week's game? You got a big rival coming up in Warsaw to be able to play the same defensive game that you played against Northridge last night?
Well, the main thing is the level of play, the energy level. We still have not played our perfect game. We are still needing to execute certain times, and there's still things to improve on. And if we bring that kind of play, we can play with anybody. We can beat anybody. And so, we went toe-to-toe with Northridge and had opportunities to win the game, and that's got to be our level of play. And so when we have a rivalry game against Warsaw, we got to have that level of play. And I think, you'll see the same thing. Kids out there selling out, working hard, and, it's a different animal, different offense, all that. They're going to have 100 kids on the sideline, but they can only put 11 on the field, and that's another emphasis. It doesn't matter how many kids they have; they're only got 11 on the field, and so that's the main thing. We set a new bar for a level of play. they had fun. They were enjoying themselves as they're playing the game. They were, working as a team, and that's rewarding too, and that's a life skill as well.
Well, that was all we have on the Northridge game last night. In our next segment, we will interview Krista Shoemaker and Erick Leffler. And in our final segment, we will talk about the big game coming up against rival Warsaw. This is the Coach's Corner Football Show on 93.7 FM The Mix. And welcome back to the Coach's Corner Football Show with Coach Jon Reutebuch on 93.7 FM The Mix. Now, we have someone very important in here with us. We have Mason Shoemaker's mother, Krista. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Now, you have a very important job on the football team. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, so I'm Wawasee Gridiron president. We are basically a team of parents or families, honestly, of players of the team that come together to help support the players, support the coaches, raise funds to just help the program be the best that it can be, and it's very rewarding.
Now, what are some of the things that the funds go to?
Yeah, I mean, as far as raising funds, it starts pretty early in the season, actually in the summer. We just had a tailgate last night as well that helps raise funds. We do blackout night. So the funds go towards helping kids on the team with different needs that they have throughout the year. It helps coaches in the different ways. Like I know that there's a term for the specific things that they have as far as broadcasting, right?
Correct.
And different ways that they need to implement certain areas of the team.
So like, camp fees, when we go to camp, we help financial aid kids that can't afford it. Practice packs, we have kids that can't afford it. Football equipment, all kinds of things. Everything, all the Gridiron money goes towards the players or something for the team and something for the players.
And that's got to help get kids out and really, we're kind of at this precipice where the program's starting to build again. That's only got to help get numbers out for you, right, Coach?
Well, it's huge. We can't do it without them. They're the behind the scenes, doing all the hard work, the tailgate, the blackout shirts, the fundraising, in the summer they did concessions, helping us get food for the players so they could be, well nourished for a game. I mean, just all kinds of things. You can't say enough. And Chris has done an outstanding job. I think we'd be remiss if we didn't mention a few of your helpers, some of your main people that have really kind of helped you out.
Yeah, like I said, we're a team. I mean, I may hold a title, but I rely 100% on the different class reps that we have. Our junior class rep is Annette Wietrick, Brandon Pike's mom, and our sophomore rep is actually we have two sophomore reps, and that is Alyssa Hatfield and Amanda Morrison. I'm past senior rep. It's Fabiola Sewell, Peyton's mom. And our freshman rep is Carla Collins. But we work interchangeably, I would say, just as hard. We kind of fill in the gaps for one another. I am a big candidate of having two reps per class just to kind of help, again, fill in the gaps.
You've been there before. You know what it's
like. I have been helping out. It was a weird year when COVID happened. And, we just weren't able to show up and do the things that we can now do. So when I was introduced into Wawasee Gridiron, I had no idea. The undertaking. But, I think the biggest thing and why I am here today and want to say is all of us feel very busy. I'm a mom of 4. I run a business here in town. My husband also runs a business. We're really busy. All of my kids are involved in something. And if you would have asked me, hey, do you have time to do this? Absolutely not. I don't. But, you make time for things that are important and you prioritize. And I will say that out of anything yet I've really done in the school system, this has been so rewarding. I love these boys. I've watched them grow up. I've watched them play. I see them work their hearts out. And I just hope the best for them. You know, I'm not just doing this for my son, Mason. I'm doing this for all these boys that I've watched give it their all since they were really young. So it's exciting.
Well, and one thing too, you talked about everyone being busy, but something like this, you know, can help propel a student further in life. How does that kind of that feeling come back to you?
Yeah, you know, my husband is a big encourager. We're both Wawasee High School grads. He played football. I was a drama kid. You know, being able to look in the eyes of these kids, especially when their heads hang, you know, after a bad game or, you know, they didn't do something well, and just put your hand on their shoulder and remind them, you know, to keep their chin up and they're doing great. You know, just being able to just speak some goodness and life into them. I think it's planting seeds. You know, I do believe that. I remember when I was a kid and teachers that would just take time out of their day. So just to speak life into me, and it has impacted me as an adult. So.
Well, it's a support group for the kids. You know, the old saying, it takes a village. The more support kids get and the more encouragement they get from many different angles only helps that kid become a strong, healthy contributor to society. And so they're a big part of helping mold these kids to be good fathers, good brothers, good family members, good workers in the community. And they see people giving back to their kids and people giving back to their community. They start to look at that, hey, that's what I should do. That's the example I should follow. And so the job they do and what they're showing, for example, for their kids and for the program and giving the support and all that they do behind the scenes, we can't thank them enough. And we can't do what we do without their support. And so we wanted to give Krista a little bit of a voice here to talk about that and appreciate all that she's done and all she's doing. And, you know, we can't thank her enough, and we appreciate her.
Well, again, I'd like to kind of echo those. Thank you so much for coming in here and kind of putting the Gridiron Club on notice here. And thank you for all you do, Krista.
Oh, you're welcome.
Now, before we go, Krista, can you give a plug to all those parents out there, how they can help out? Our Gridiron reps do a lot of the communicating to parents and trying to recruit the parents in their class, but maybe give a little plug about that recruitment thing.
Yeah, we need your help, like all hands on deck. And don't feel like if you're not a parent, you're a grandparent, you're a cousin, you're a sibling. I don't care who you are. If you are a family member of one of the players, we need you. It's a big commitment, extremely rewarding. It's awesome just to be interconnected and you really feel like a part of the team. But we are not a club. We are really a team of people that are just there to help see this program be the best that it can be. So again, you know, yes, raising funds are a part of it, but just feeding the kids on a weekly basis, being attentive to needs all around the team. It's great. It's a great opportunity, and you will not be disappointed in just stepping up and doing whatever you can to help.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning, Krista. Now we go to our second interviewer, Erick Leffler. Now, tell us a little bit about what you do for the Wawasee football program.
Yeah, so I'm the commissioner, if you will, for Wawasee Pee Wee football and cheer. We did it at a cheer program last year, back to our program. And my job is really just administrative, right? So I do all of the behind-the-scenes stuff, make sure that everybody's got the equipment they need, make sure that we have all of our schedules down pat, get our sponsorships going, just all the stuff that happens behind the scenes. And I'm really a coach's coach, so I try to be there as support for our coaches, try to work with Coach Reutebuch here to have that trickle-down effect to make sure that we're doing the same things that the high school is doing.
So how are some of the things that this community can kind of help you in supporting the Pee Wee programs?
You know, just come out and watch. I mean, it's fun, right? I mean,
it's really fun. I've gotten an opportunity to coach now in Pee Wee, to ref, and I mean, when I was real little, play, and it's just such a cool thing to go out and see the future kind of learning football for the first time.
It really is. I mean, it's the true essence of what sport should be, right? You come out there, and we've got 7 and 8 year olds out there playing a modified game. It's 7-on-7. It's still tackle, but it's a smaller field, and that's the pure enjoyment of sport, right? These kids that are just out there having a blast, right? So from a community perspective, come out and just watch, right? It was funny. I had a parent show me a picture during our practice Thursday night, because our new field, if you haven't been out there, check it out. It's basically surrounded by a subdivision. And there's a couple sitting out there on their back porch, and they're just watching football practice, right? And so just come out, and I mean, that's a different kind of Thursday night football, right? We're out there playing and enjoying ourselves, and they're out there enjoying it as well. But from the community, come out and support the kids, right? We had a great homecoming parade last night. We had a great float. We probably had 100 Pee Wee football and cheer members walking in that parade yesterday, right? And so
that's fantastic numbers.
Yeah, to see that kind of support, to see those numbers, to get that community involvement, that's what it's really all about, right? Just come out and support the kids.
And I will say, I have a coworker, and his son's in his first year of football down in Columbia City, and I have not met this kid, and the first time he got to play quarterback, he made sure to tell his dad, hey, the guy that likes football at work, you better go and tell him about my game. So just coming and being there to support the kids, I mean, that just means so much to them.
It really does. I mean, they're there for the fun of it. For there's not like I said before, it's not about the emotions. It's not about the stats. It's just going out and having fun and just enjoying what football is really supposed to be about, right?
Eric does a fantastic job of organizing the Pee Wee program, and that is not easy. He knows what it is to be a coach, and he's been through that part, and so he does a great job. He's very organized and very professional, and to have somebody like that on the first experience kids have around football is, priceless. And so he does a great job of, making sure they have the right equipment, making sure the coaches know how they're supposed to coach and what they're supposed to do, and the scheduling. And there is so much that he does, and we're lucky to have him, because any program is going to be built on a solid foundation of its feeder programs. And I've seen the numbers go up in our Pee Wee program, and just the overall quality of a Pee Wee program. We have one of the best, if not the best. And so I love what's going on down there, and Eric's great about communicating, and we're trying to get these kids ready for that one day they play on a Friday night. And it's really cool when we get to send a kid down to ref or help out, or they just get to see him out on the field, the kid that you remember playing Pee Wee. It's got to be so rewarding to see that.
Yeah, I mean, sorry if I go off on a tangent here. As coaches, we don't want to choose favorites, right? We've got so many kids that come in and out of our lives throughout the years, and so many of them are phenomenal. But if you want to know what this program is about from top to bottom, right? Number 80 on your football team, right? Donovan Blair. I've known the kid since he was 6 or 7 years old, and that kid plays his heart out, and he's a coachable kid. He's a straight A student. He had the best first half of football last night that I've seen in a Wawasee uniform.
We were talking about that up in the booth. It was amazing.
He gets an amazing catch. He gets a touchdown run. He's making tackles for a loss. He gets a huge sack before the half. He's setting the edge. He's turning guys in. He's doing everything that he's supposed to do. And then he goes and he wins Homecoming King, right? And it's supposed to be another great half of football. And I'm sure you guys watched the film, but he got beat up by 3 guys last night, right? And he gets ejected for it. And and hopefully that can be reviewed and he can play next week. But you know what he's going to be doing today? By the time this airs, he's going to be down at the Pee Wee field refereeing like he's done for the last 3 years, right? This is a kid who's been part of this program since he was 6 and 7 years old, and he continues to give back every weekend. And if we had 100 Donovan Blairs in this program, man, that would be phenomenal. But that's what this program is about, is kids like that, kids like Cooper Garden coming down, those kids that grew up in this program that are still giving back every day. I mean,
And that's not by accident. I mean, that's the example you set and your coaches set. Parents contributing back, giving back to their community for the good of the cause. You don't get paid by the hour. This is all volunteer and things like that. And so helping to be a part of something and build something and give that role model that's so important at a young age. And those guys coming back is because of what you guys did with them when they were in the program. And in this day and age, that is so needed and so great of an example. And, again, you can't put a price on that. That's huge.
Yeah. No, I mean, I know Donovan's beat up about last night, but, first thing I'm going to do is give him a hug today when I see him in the field and, know that we've got his back, and I don't think he did anything wrong, But having kids like that come through the program makes it worth it every day, right?
Yep.
So we've got, for the first time since I think 2014 or 15, we've got over 100 football players.
That's fantastic.
We've got over 40 cheerleaders. We've got great coaches. We've got great volunteers. Our sponsorships have been phenomenal. The community's really gathered around the program, and we couldn't ask for more. I mean, it's a lot of fun. So, come out today. We've got games at 10, 11, and 1 today, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's an all Elkhart day. So we play Elkhart 4 times today.
All Elkhart Day. And down the road, how many games we got left? Because I know we got Turf Day coming up, too, down the road.
Yeah, so next weekend we'll have a few games up here on the high school turf. And so, our 12U kids get to play under the lights. I think we've got 4 games this year. The last one will start at 7 o'clock, so the kids will get under the lights, under these brand new lights that are awesome to watch. If you haven't seen them, come out and see them.
They are really cool.
But yeah, it'll be a lot of fun up there. Then we've got 2 more games after that, so 3 more weekends of football. Every Saturday we're out at the New Schrock Fields at Pelletier Field, and couldn't be happier to have that facility. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, what a great facility, and it's only going to get better as it develops more. So, thank you, Eric, for all you do.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, Eric. And don't forget to come support these Pee Wee players. When we come back, we will discuss next Friday's game against Warsaw. This is the Coach's Corner Football Show on 93.7 FM The Mix. Welcome back to the Coach's Corner Football Show with Coach Jon Reutebuch on 93.7 FM The Mix. Now, Coach, obviously, a disappointing 7-point loss to the Northridge Raiders last night. But now let's kind of turn our eyes to the horizon. We are going to go and play against our rival, and I would say probably my most heated rival, in Warsaw next week. How does the energy that this team brought this week help kind of set the tone coming up against a good quality opponent in Warsaw?
Well, you're brought up in the Wawasee community that Warsaw is your rival, and you want to give your best against them. And, people know each other in the communities, and I think everybody's pretty friendly and everything. But when it comes to the game,
it's fierce.
It's on. And so that naturally will bring itself to the table that it's Warsaw. It's Warsaw week. It's W Trophy week.
I mean, it still gets talked about decades after games of, hey, I beat you. No, I beat you that year. No, I beat you that year. And it's kind of funny how, it may be a rivalry, but it also kind of brings us together and has some common ground there.
Absolutely. And, so that makes it huge, a rivalry game like that with a trophy involved. And, we won't have any trouble getting the kids mentally ready for the game. And then, be able to perform like we did last night. New level of play. If we come out with that inspiration of a rivalry game and that level of play, we'll be just fine.
Yeah, they're a great school. I mean, this team is phenomenal. They did get trounced last night by Mishawaka. They had close game against Concord, if memory serves properly.
Yeah, 10-3.
How are we starting this week to prepare for this? I mean, obviously you mentioned there's that big rivalry there, but coming after a game like Northridge, I mean, the defense played extraordinarily well. The offense showed some pizzazz in there, had some trickery. What are we doing to prepare, at least at the start of this week, for Warsaw coming up?
Well, this is the beginning of our Flexbone preparation, and Flexbone is like no other offense, and so there's adjustments to be had, and we're going to play a type of defense that probably isn't our normal defense. We're going to be as close as we can to our main defense, but we're going to have to make adjustments because it's a different animal.
And you don't have Donovan Blair too, so I mean, with the
Another
flex bone, you've
adjustment.
got to set the edge.
Yeah, that's another adjustment we're going to have to make, and we'll do that. And we also offensively, the best defense is a good offense, and so the longer we can keep Warsaw's offense off the field, the better opportunity, because a lot of times when they have it, they like to matriculate it down the field and eat up clock and not give your offense a chance. And when they do get a chance, it's desperation time because you get so few of possessions. I think about every game we have 6 to 7, maybe even 8 possessions and a half. That's probably not going to happen. I mean, I'm not a predictor of how things are going to roll, but it's usually a lot shorter than that. I imagine last night's game was probably one of the shorter games. We have two teams that run the ball like they do.
We were actually kind of surprised about that because we were getting halftime scores, and they were at halftime, and I was like, now wait a minute, both of those teams run the ball. That should be probably in the third or fourth quarter at this point.
Yeah. So, Warsaw is a solid program. Bart Curtis has got that thing running. Great coaching staff, lots of kids, got depth and competition, which always makes you better. We're going against another NLC team that's going to come at us in waves, and we got to be ready to stand our ground and take that on and compete at the next level, and that's what the NLC does. It brings out the best in you, or you get embarrassed. And we've seen both sides of that coin, and we need to go into this game with that new level of play that, hey, we're going to go toe-to-toe with you guys all 4 quarters. Let's see what happens. And it's only going to make us better. Them losing to Mishawaka is only going to make them
more fired
up and more committed to getting back on track. And so we're going to get their best shot. There's no doubt about that. And so we got to be ready for that. We got to be mentally prepared for that. And, Flexbone is going to be, I'll just say the style play, because their defense is no slouch either. Their defense flies around the ball, and it really has been a big strength for them. And so we're going to have to deal with that, and we're going to have to figure out ways of manufacturing points. And, 7 points probably isn't going to get it. We're going to need to be able to manufacture points somehow, some way, and so that's what we'll be working on all week. And you're playing against a system here, and a system that they work on from their Pee Wee level to middle school to freshman all the way to high school.
Explain a little bit of what the Flexbone is, because we're going to have a couple opponents that run it. What kind of challenges does that bring to your defense?
So Mishawaka and Warsaw run the Flexbone because Bart was at Mishawaka before he went to Warsaw. But
I actually did not know that.
Yes, he built that program up, and so then he came to Warsaw. The Flexbone is a run-oriented offense. You run midline option, you run triple option, you run toss. It is a grind, linemen in 4-point stances, rooting out underneath, getting downfield, making blocks, getting angles. It is going to be a physical game, and so you have to be prepared for that.
And correct me if I'm wrong, that's kind of like the Army's, the Navy's, the Air Force style offense, right?
Army, Navy, Air Force, the Academy. A lot of times people call it the Academy offense, but yes, absolutely. The Flexbone offense is a version of that. So what you'll see is a quarterback under center. You'll have a fullback who comes downhill really fast. And usually he's either super quick or a bruiser or a combination of the two. And I think the kid's name's Zollinger, a heck of a fullback. He ran the ball 45 times the previous game.
Wow!
Oh my,
that's a lot low.
We were thinking about calling CPS child abuse, giving a kid that ball
45
that many times. 45 times. So they're not afraid to ride that. And you're going to have 2 wings, and sometimes you're going to have 2 receivers. They can bring in another lineman and go unbalanced and have 1 receiver. So, you got to honor everything out there, and they'll lull you to sleep with the option game and then spring a pass on you. And if you're not disciplined and you don't do your job, somebody's going to be wide open.
Do your 111, right?
Yeah, do your 111 every single time. And to have high school kids do that is tough. And so you get embarrassed. You get a guy who'll be wide open. And so we got to work on our eye discipline. We got to work on our mental discipline. And it's going to be a battle. There's no doubt about it.
And one thing, too, with kind of playing against the flex bone is everyone has their responsibilities, and sometimes it's a one-on-one matchup where this guy, hey, you have the quarterback. If he keeps the ball, it's yours. And what struggles does that bring your team of, hey, we got to tackle on the first try?
It's just a mindset. It's a mindset. This is what we got to do, and this is how it's set up. The way it goes in that, everybody has a responsibility. It's a responsibility of football, and that's why they run that offense. And it's a toughness thing. You run the flex bone, you can't be soft. And so, not that teams that run other offenses are soft, but you definitely have to have a certain mentality to run that. And Bart's done a great job of getting those kids at Warsaw to buy into that kind of thing because, you're not going to get 2,000 yards passing. That's just not going to happen in that system. But they're bought into it, and they work really hard. And going into last night's game, they're 5-0. And so losing to Mishawaka is nothing to be embarrassed about. They are a solid team and have been since they joined our conference. So, we're going to have our work cut out for us. And it's going to be a major battle, but we feel a whole lot better going into it this week than we did after last week. And so that's where we got to get our kids. It's a new level of play. We got to play up to that standard, and it's a rivalry game.
Nate and I go up to some of the coaches for the game, Coach O and Zapes before the game every single time, just to get some last-minute tidbits from them. And Zapes made a comment saying that he wishes that he could record himself just to give us the same thing over and over. And basically, it's discipline and physicality. And playing a flex bone offense like this, discipline, to your point, is one of the largest things that you can do. And obviously, you can try to mimic it in practice. But is there any pieces that you're going to try to pull to try to trick the defense so we can see something that maybe they'll see next Friday, especially when you're going up against an option offense like this?
Yeah, I mean, it's the flex bone offers challenges. Warsaw's defense is going to offer challenges, and honestly, where we're at right now as a team, it's got to be all mentality because we can teach them. We can teach them all kinds of things, but when it comes down to it, I'm a broken record too. I mean, I talk about we got to be physical, we got to limit turnovers, and we got to limit our penalties in key situations.
It's basically your 3 keys every week.
And it's true. If we can do those 3 things, we're going to win the ball game. And when we get close but don't give over the top, it's because one of those areas or maybe 2 of those areas has really hurt us. The 2 turnovers last night, those were in scoring drives. That hurt us.
And deep into territory, too.
Yes. There was a couple penalties where we were offsides or we didn't snap the ball. Key situations, that hurt us. Those kind of things, you're never going to escape that. You're never going to be perfect in the game, but you got to be working towards it. And so when it comes to a key situation in the game, that's when your focus has got to be at the top. And so there are key plays in the game. We always talk about there's 5 plays in the game that you can look back. We got to have our perfect execution at those times. And then physicality, that's a mindset. If you come downhill and you're getting after it and you're standing toe-to-toe each play, that's going to be the thing. And so, Coach Zapes has his same things, and I'm sure Coach O has his same things that we got to have. And those are the messages sent to the kids. These are our goals. This is what we're trying to do, and this is what we're trying to accomplish. And if we're successful at these 3 things, then we're going to be successful in the game. Score is just how people tell who won. It's more about the process, and you're starting to hear that more and more. Coach Freeman up at Notre Dame, NFL coaches, they all talk about the process, and you're working about each individual play. You're working on winning that play, and then it's the next play. Focusing on one thing at a time, not the big picture, not the final result, but one play at a time and battling through that each time. And that whole body of winning each individual attempt will work itself out. It'll make you successful. And so that's the thing we got to be telling our kids.
Well, thank you for joining us this morning, Coach. Don't forget, Wawasee will travel to Warsaw next week to take on the Tigers. Our coverage will start right here on 93.7 FM The Mix at 6:30. The game will start at 7. That's a wrap for this week's Coach's Corner football show with Coach Jon Reutebuch. Catch up on previous Coach's Corner shows on demand on YouTube at CPG-TV. This has been the Coach's Corner football show on 93.7 FM The Mix.